What is goody, you two? We is back and better than ever. Welcome back to another episode of the 76-hour podcast. We have a good, long, maybe short episode for you tonight. There's not much stuff going on in the land of the Philadelphia 76ers per se. It is currently August 10th, and the season does not start until October 20th, October 30th-ish. So we are smack dab in the middle of the off season. And of course, as it is akin to being a Philadelphia 76er fan, there is drama throughout our organization. So we will talk about that and much more on this episode. I think this is like episode 16, 17, 18, 19, 20.
Something like that.
So thank you guys for rocking. No, facts. So thank you guys for rocking with the joint up to this point. We are going to start being more consistent with these joints as the season is right around the corner, so we can, ease our way into a new season to get views, likes, comments, shares, subscribes, and all that stuff. So yeah, without further ado, cue the intro music that I still have not updated. So next joint, I'm gonna have it updated, but nevertheless, cue the intro music. Again, what is goody? Welcome back to another episode of the 76-hour podcast. It is your boy Yeen hosting this joint along with my main man, Kayin and Nyle, Jack Stacks. How are you doing tonight, my brother? Long time no talk.
Right, bro. Yeah, it's definitely been a little minute, but I'm chilling, bro. You know what I mean? Like, it's the summertime. You know what I mean? Like, it's the off season. Outside of baseball, really, it's not really too much sports, to watch for real. But I mean, it's really chill though. You know what I'm saying? I can't really complain. So just hype for this upcoming sports season. So yeah, bro, just going through the motions.
How has your summer been so far? As we all know, this is the actual dog days of the summer when things start to wind down. How was your last 2 months? I feel as though this summer didn't really feel like summers of the past, but looking back at this point, I can say that I did a lot of things, even though it didn't necessarily feel like a summer that I had, last year or 2016. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, it was kind of the same for me. It was just a lot of just go to work, then come back and stay in the crib type of summer. I mean, no, but I mean but yeah, still in the meantime, still found some time just to, just kick it with the guys, hang out, chill, you know what I mean? But definitely in comparison to previous summers, not as active as I probably would have liked it to be, but I'm still just trying to enjoy the last couple of weeks of summer that we have left, because this drone went by super duper fast. But yeah, it's been real slow. But I mean, as we talked about prior to the pod, me and a few friends about to go on to a trip down to AC,
Yes,
just
sir.
chill. You know what I mean?
Yes,
So
sir.
it's gonna be a quick little getaway. You know what I mean? So I'm definitely gonna be getting lit, having a couple drinks and whatnot. You know what I'm saying?
My guy.
You feel me?
Now, he finna say.
I be tired, bro.
That was the funniest thing I've seen. Bull sat down, said,
Man's was tired, you know what I'm saying? I was like, all right, I'm done for the
"Oh
night.
my god,
I'm done for the night, but yeah, bro.
That is good to hear, and that is a good spot to actually start the podcast on a great high laughing note. So we all know as 76er fans where our team currently is right now. We are at a state of influx. As once again, our boys did not or were not able to pass the second round. And this time it was against the bum dreaded Boston Celtics in a horrible Game 7 fashion. Fast forward a few months later, or weeks, our head coach Glenn Doc Rivers is let go. He is replaced by Nick Nurse, who used to coach the Raptors, who actually beat us Game 7 of the 2018-2019 Eastern Conference semis. Would go on to win a chip that year with Kawhi. Um, and the bombshell news comes that James Harden wants to be traded from the Sixers, and his preferred destination is the Los Angeles Clippers, to play alongside the same Kawhi Leonard, as well as Paul George, who has a tough podcast, I might say. Podcast P. Shout out to like those boys. In addition, Joel Embiid goes out to a Maverick Carter podcast interview type thing and says that he wants to win a championship, and makes it known that that could be in Philadelphia or anywhere else. So there's been a lot of unnecessary drama surrounded by this team. It's been a few weeks since like we talked about James and like his specific predicament. Back then, during that time, it seemed like talks were um, simmering down, just because the Clippers didn't want to give up that much pieces for James, as he is an expiring contract. Why would they? Um, but now, fast forward a little bit, it seems like talks have been occurring once again. Do you think James Harden will be a Philadelphia 76er by the time the season starts in about 2 months?
Um, that's a good question. I'm going to say that I think that he will be, but I don't like my prediction is that he'll still technically be a member of the organization, but I think that he just won't play and that he'll sit out until the Sixers can find an equal trade partner. I did read an article saying that the talks are going to start to resume with them and with the Clippers and Harden
Mm.
to try to find some kind of deal. Um, but I mean, the season is going to start in a little under 2 months, and I just don't really know if a deal is going to get done because the Clippers, they want to keep Paul George and they want to keep Kawhi, and we would just get like a whole lot of role players, which isn't bad, but it just really has to make sense for the Sixers, and knowing Daryl Morey with how he handled the Ben Simmons situation and just like waiting for the best possible predicament. I think he'll do the same thing with this James Harden stuff. So um I'm really interested in to see what the Sixers get in if we actually do conduct a trade with the Clippers because
Mm.
I would like Robert Covington back. I would like Morris in Philly. He's from Philly, so I would like him to come back. And if we could get like Norman Powell with that added with some draft picks or whatever, I think that that may be a decent deal because we do need some bench players. The only real players off our bench that right now that we have that can really get buckets really is D'Anthony Melton, and we have House and you know what I'm saying, like we have Paul Reed and that's all cool, but in my opinion that's not a championship
Yeah.
caliber bench unit. So we definitely are going to need some upgrades with that. So we can get Norman Powell, Morris, Robert Covington. I feel like that really builds that. So we'll see, but yeah, I think James will be a Sixer when the season starts, but he'll probably be traded. I think probably sometime before the All-Star break. So we just gotta wait and see what happens for real, for real.
The question that I have been pondering is like, is it even like okay? You brought up the whole Ben Simmons number 25, he who shall not be named angle about how Daryl tried to or not tried to did wait till the last second to get his guys to like get the like right type of deal to amplify or to elevate this team, which he technically did. At at the very least, he kept us at the same spot. We didn't lose round one. Like we still lost round two. So I like have to give him credit there. Of course, we would like we would want him to like do better, but that's neither here nor there. Do you think that we can afford to like really wait long for James to get his value up, or like rather, can we wait this long in a season, an important season, because we're at the point where like we cannot just like basically tank no more. Like Joel Embiid is like in his prime. Other pl- players like Giannis, Jokic, maybe some other Bulls, Trey Young, Luca, right? They're like all like in
Mm-hmm.
their primes too, gunning for chips. Jaylen Brown, who just got paid,
A
um,
boatload of money.
the richest bull in NBA history, or contract wise, up to this point. Do we even have time just to wait for the best offer? Because will this not lead to like eventually Embiid getting mad that like we're not going for it all? For example, looking at the Mavericks, they were saying, okay, Luca needs help, and the only player that like we can actually get is a Kyrie Irving, for better or for worse, because we all know what he brings. Do you honestly think it's a smart move for us to like play the actual long term waiting game with James rather than getting a getting a trade done now? Because I'm more so I at, at this point obviously don't take crumbs, but I feel like I would rather get done with it now, give the ball to Maxi and run it with Maxi and be role players and get and just see what we have.
Yeah. I think that if there was a high probability that we could get a star in return for James Harden, then I would say okay, maybe let's play the waiting game.
Hmm.
Um, because if that's the case, then come playoff time, it's going to pay off. But if chances are that we're not going to get a star player in return, which I actually think is going to happen, then it probably is best to get a deal done as soon as possible, because if we wait, then in the regular season, we're not going to get as high of a seed. And of course, the lower seed that we are, the tougher the team it is that we're going to have to play, which means the lower the possibility that we're going to get out of the second round. So we need
Regardless,
to, so
regardless.
you feel me? So we have
Right.
to get the highest seed possible to give us the best possible chance of getting out the East. And like you said, Giannis is coming back with a vengeance. Jalen Brown, Jason Tatum, they got Kristaps Porzingis now, so they're going to try to, get back to the finals. You still have to respect the Cavs in the mix, and it's just the East has good enough teams to where we can't like it's definitely not going to be a cakewalk in comparison to how the East was in years prior, where it was like LeBron and that's it, and it's not like that no more. But yeah, like it just seems very likely that regardless of who we trade James to, we're not going to get a star player in return, and like I don't think this is a time to wait, because like with the Ben Simmons situation, um, you know, it was a little bit different because number one, Ben is young. James is like what 33, so like I don't know if there's a lot of teams that are going to trade a all-star caliber player for a 33-year-old. And
Who didn't even make All Star team last year? We
exactly.
didn't even
So
say. Right.
So that's the
That's
first
crazy.
thing. So yeah,
Right.
so just getting role players and draft picks, which is what we desperately need. Um, I think works well in our favor. But at the end of the day, like I'm kind of the mindset is like it's like, look, we dug ourselves in this hole, like we put all our chips in one basket and made this James Harden trade, and it didn't work out. We have to live with that. Right now, we have Tobias, Maxi, and Embiid. Let's just run with them, and if it doesn't work, then we just go down with the ship. At the end of the day, like this is the predicament that we're in. Let's try to get some role players. Let's hope that Maxi takes this next step. And if all else fails, let's just blow it up and then build behind Maxi. And I mean, listen, I mean, like you got a better idea. You know what I'm saying? So, but that's really what it comes down to for real, for real. So it's like, but see, the thing is, like, I've seen a team in the Denver Nuggets who drafted some guy out of Serbia, like 46th overall in the
Mm.
draft, who's now a two-time MVP, and who got a guard late in the first round by the name of Jamal
Hurry.
Murray, who's I
Yep.
think very underrated. He can ball, you know what I'm saying?
Mm.
So, and they made it to the chip, and we have a top 3 draft pick in Joel Embiid and a top first round, well, a top 20-ish first round pick in Tyrese Maxey. Is just like we had, like, I mean, yes, you do need star players, and we have our star in Joel Embiid, but you even look at the Bucks, like you have Giannis, and then they say, and Drew Holiday is like a nice player, but I wouldn't say he's kind of like a
A
1B to Giannis. Like he's just
superstar.
a
Yeah.
really good role player, and he's really good at doing what he does and playing
Fits.
defense. And
Right.
yeah, so it's like if Joel Embiid is the star that we all think that he is, he just won the MVP, just won his second scoring title back to back. We have our star. Now I think it's time for us to like get away from this, you know, um, big three type of team building mentality and try to just really build a good team in general. The Bucks just won the championship that way. The Nuggets just wanted a because outside of Jokic, because I don't even think Jamal Murray made the All Star team either. So it was really just Jokic and a lot of good players surrounding
Deep.
him.
Yeah.
So we
And
need
deep
to
team.
do the
Right.
same thing and kind of get out of this mindset of, oh, we need to have a big three. No, we don't, because then we have to dish out more money that we don't even really have for real, for real. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Which means less money for actual role players. So maybe this is a good thing. Like, let's just give Harden away, get some role pieces, get a bench, and have like a good overall team so that when Embiid goes to the bench, everything just doesn't go to shit because he's just, because like the team just isn't adequate enough. So I feel like that's what we really need to be focused on. And if that doesn't work, then
He said,
it
blow it up.
it is what it is. You know what I mean? Like we dug ourselves in this hole. We drafted very poorly during the whole process thing. So it is what it is. We just have to live with the results and just go from there and just do the best with what we have, which isn't very much, but it can be done. But we just have to be very strategic about it.
Because my thing is like we're not really even that bad though. If anything, like looking at like
Won
everything
54
being
games.
considered every year, like 50+ win seasons, always getting to the
We're right there.
second round. We are consistently right there, and it just takes that like one extra inch just to get us past it. Because I honestly felt like Game 6 was ours, bro. Like I was on the phone with my girl saying like, "Yo, I really feel like this is our time. This is our year." Like it was like what quarter, what 4? No, like going into quarter 4, like probably like what 8 minutes left. Like it
No
was
facts.
vibes, it was good, and somehow like it was the whole mind thing. Like I feel like once we like get one, not once we, because clearly like that's been it, but like we have to get that like mental piece right. And I do think Maxi is going to be the savior in that aspect, just because his like
He
his
better be.
mental is like all right there. Um, but we're like right there. Like it's not like we're like bums, but something does have to like give, and unfortunately, I don't think that like mentally wise, the pairing of Joel Embiid and James Harden is going to get us to the promised land. because you cannot have two losers leading your squad, and that's what Joel is and James is as well. Unfortunately,
And they're both two
um,
ball dominant players as well. So that
but the crazy
also
thing
is.
is though, like, won't Maxi be a ball dominant ball too? Because
I
I haven't seen
mean,
him distribute as much.
but see, like, I mean, in
And James
terms.
led the league in assists.
Yeah, so I mean, like with James leading the league and assisting him, basically running the office, and then also him having his, ISO plays. The ball was, typically in his hands, the majority of the time when we were setting up our offense. With Maxi, especially if Harden isn't here, the ball will definitely be more in his hands. But I feel that Maxi's more coachable, and I feel as though he can play more within the system between like instead of being a ball dominant player, because when Maxi has the ball, he's looking to score, he's looking to like get to the cup, he's not looking to dribble tween, you know what I'm saying, like he's straight to the point and he's very fast, you know what I mean, like he's just downhill cut and drive, just like I'm gonna get a bucket. Whereas James is like, all right, let me fill out this guy, let me give him a couple tweens, you know what I'm saying? Now, sometimes that worked as it did in game one, and I was so hyped. I'm like, yo, James is back, baby, 45 points, he back, you know what I'm saying? So, but that type of play, it's good in those kind of situational settings where like time is ticking down, or you know what I mean? But like in the course of like a whole playoff run, that kind of play isn't sustainable, and Maxi isn't that kind of like tween, like he's just straight to the point. So I think that's going to work in our favor. And like I said, he's more coachable as well. With James want to do whatever James want to do. You know what I'm saying? So I think with a new coach, and Maxi's still young, he's still developing as a player. He's going to be more prone to listen to Nurse and to play within the team. And I think that with with Embiid, with the skill set that he has, I obviously it's going to call for him to have a lot of ISO ball situations because he's just that good. So we just have to live with that. But he also has to do better, of passing out of a double team and limit his turnovers. But yeah, like I think just letting James go and just letting Maxi run the show will be better. I'm not sure how he's going to do as a point in distributing. I feel like that's also going to fall on Embiid as well, because even before James got here, Embiid got more triple doubles and more high
Yeah,
assist games. So it's going to kind of be, in my opinion, kind of like a point center type thing. Even though that's not Joel Embiid's game, but it's going to fall on Maxi as well, but I think it's just going to be a combination of both of them, and Tobias as well to a certain extent to kind of run the show.
where it's going to be it's definitely going to be interesting. They can definitely do it in the regular season because we've seen
Yeah,
it
for
be
sure.
before. Like, number 25, he who should not be named, was out. Like, Bull still carried like ship, and even when Bull uh quit on the team, like Embiid and like Gang still like had a top three record in the East. So it's very, very, very doable, but it is all about that mindset, which fantastically segues us into the next portion. We all know who Joel Embiid is, and we all know how he feels and acts when things isn't going his way on the basketball court, which is one of the reasons why we got spanked by the Celtics game 7, which I think was one of the most egregious, if not the egregious moment of my Philadelphia sports fandom overall. Because there was no way like you go out like a bum and then laugh with the Celtics as if like they didn't just drop, as if JT didn't just drop 50
50
points
piece.
on you. And it's like, wow, just because, like, look, I'm not saying Tatum isn't like that because clearly Bulls dropped 50 points. But, like, the Sixers make him better than he is. Like, I feel as though, like, every time, like, he just goes off against us because, like, we don't care. Like, obviously, JT is a top 15 Bull in the league. Some would argue top 10. Some would say top 5. I would say you're on crack. But
Yeah, I
either
don't know
way,
about top five.
either way, I feel as though we make JT and the Celtics look better than they are. But who cares? Because they beat 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 us and then got whooped by Jimmy Butler and some shoestrings. So they're bumps
Henny
too.
Butler.
And that's why we'll never win a chip. But it's okay. So Embiid was talking to the media, explaining how like this is going to be the year he actually puts his like mindset to full gear and do what he has to like do to like win a chip. Something that we have been asking for the last 8 years. So according to Ramona Shelburne of ESPN, he, as an Embiid, wants to come back in the best shape of his life. That is a goal he has set. His mentality is he's going to give everything that he has to the Sixers this year. I'm calling BS because, like, have we not been asking that? Has he not been, like, saying that, like, each year? Kind of. I feel as though this is to spin the whole PR around him from the last, few weeks, him saying that, like, oh, I can see myself winning a chip, um, even if it's not in Philadelphia. I feel like this was put out just for him to, like, get some grace and gravitas back on his side from the Philly fandom. I feel like we're at a point where like Embiid's approval rating in the city is very low, the lowest of his career. Um, I definitely would have called him Mr. Philadelphia at one point within the last like 2-3 years, but now like I feel like he's like number three. I feel like it's like Hurts or Bryce, and then Embiid. Take your pick. Be like between those two, and then Embiid. And that's evident because the man gave up in a big game during his career, and like low key not even gave up through that game, bro. There is no way. Anyway, do you believe Embiid when he says that like? Do you think he's going to give? Do you believe him when he says that like he is going to give everything to the organization and the fans this year?
So
That's a no.
so
See,
no, so like listen, so I look at Joel Embiid and I see, what he's done in the past 2 years. He's won scoring titles in the past 2 years. As a center, which hasn't been done since Shaq, which was in the early 2000s, and he done that back to back years. And he also won the MVP. Um, so I'm not going to make it seem like he's just not putting in work each and every year, because clearly he is. I mean, to win a scoring title as a center in today's NBA in back-to-back years, that's a pretty impressive feat. um and in my opinion, he should have won at least two MVPs, but I mean, he won once, which is also still hard to do. So he clearly has the talent. He clearly has the game, and in my opinion, he has the ability. It's really now, especially with the way these last two playoff series went, it's really a matter of his mental toughness, and how much he wants it when when the game gets tough. So I do believe that he'll give his all in terms of like his play during the regular season. I think he'll still average somewhere close between 27 and 30 points a game, somewhere around 10 boards, and a couple blocks per game. But it just really comes down to the playoffs. And him just showing up in big moments. And when you look at his playoff numbers in comparison to his regular season numbers, it's a significant enough drop off that really makes you question, like, okay, like, well, like what happens. And I get that in a lot of these playoffs he's been injured and he hasn't been playing as many games in the playoffs and in the regular season. So I get that maybe that's something that definitely has affected his numbers. But in terms of the eye test, like, there's a reason why PJ Tucker was all in his mitt, yelling in his face, saying like, "Yo, you need to stop acting like a little, you know
What
what."
are you doing?
And you know what I'm saying? There's a reason why PJ Tucker was on it, because he knows what I know, which is you're a talented player. You're too good not to be dominating. This is the playoffs. This not no time to be playing around. Just get in the paint and dominate and get a bucket. You know what I'm saying? So I remember after 2019 when Kawhi hit that shot and Embiid started crying. I'm like, okay, like he'll come back, next year, and and a lot of these playoff, mishaps with the Sixers, it's not all on Joel Embiid. I mean, Ben Simmons did pass a wide open
Yeah,
layup,
no.
and we've had questionable coaching tactics by Doc Rivers and Brett Brown. You know what I'm saying? So like, it's not all on him, but a lot of it is on him.
Right.
And as a leader of this team, as the best player on this team, he needs to step up to the plate. And I have seen him, try to grow his game as well. Like, even though I really do hate to see him handle the ball and try to act like like AI trying to break somebody down, but I still kind of admire him trying to make something happen, being that he is the best player on the team, and especially as a center in today's NBA. You kind of have to be kind of more of like a wing player to like truly dominate the game. Jokic, is kind of an exception because the offense runs through him, but in the Sixers offense, it does run through Embiid, but he's not the facilitator of the offense. He's just the guy that can play exceptional defense, and he's a great one-on-one player. But when you're going to play that, you have to limit your turnovers, which he needs to do a huge better job of. Um, and he has to do a good job of winning his matchups. I know Al Horford is a really good defender, but I feel as though with his talent, he should be giving Al Horford the business every single time. Now, he's a good defender, so I'm not going to try to take anything away from him, but like, it's the playoffs. You need to be giving this man the business.
Still,
You know what I
bro,
mean?
come on, dog.
So I just
Come on, man.
I don't question Joel Embiid's ability. I question his mentality in terms of like how bad he wants it when things, get going tough. Because I mean, like, keep it a beam. If Harden um wasn't on the Sixers, would we have gotten swept by the Celtics? Would it have even gone 6 games? Would it have been a gentleman's sweep? I mean, especially with
Probably not.
like Maxey wasn't even really playing well that whole entire series. So without James, would it have went to a game 7? I don't know. You know what I mean? I don't think so. But it's like that just goes to show you, okay, like how important he is to this team. And as you notice, like when Joel Embiid is hitting on all cylinders, everybody does well, and we see that in the regular season. Cool. We just
It's a
need you to
wrap.
do it in the. We just need you to do it in the postseason. You know what I'm saying? So like, I feel like that's mental, and he once again, I get it. He has been hurt for like the past 3-4 years going into the playoffs, and he has missed some playoff games. I get it, but he has to just want it bad enough to want to be like, okay, I'm going to take over this game. I mean, like, what game can you honestly like? What game do you have in recent memory when it comes to the playoffs where you can say, especially in the second round,
That is
not the
the
first,
Joel Embiid
that
game.
he
Yeah,
yeah that
right.
Joel Embiid is taking over this game. I don't recall. I mean, I've seen Joel drop
None. None.
25
None.
and 10 and have good playoff games. I've seen him have good playoff games, but like great, legendary, memorable playoff games. I mean, it's crazy because like James Harden has had a memorable playoff game, and he's only been on the Sixers for like a year and a half. But yeah, like in terms of just like memorable playoff moments, like James Harden has had memorable playoff moments, and he's been on the Sixers for like barely a year and a half. Like everybody's going to remember him winning Game 1, like winning us Game 1 against the Celtics in the second round. What memorable playoff moment does Joel Embiid have?
None.
Exactly. That's what
Like
I'm
folks,
saying. So like,
they'll try to say like, oh, like his like game winning shot against Toronto. Like what?
But
like two
that was in
like
the first round, though.
like
I
2 years
don't really
right. So
count
like
the
who
first round.
I have not seen Embiid like rise to the occasion.
Like in the
I haven't,
second
bro.
round, what memorable playoff moment does he have in the second round? James Harden has more, he about to be out the door. You know what I'm saying? So like it's just like he needs to take over. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? He needs to really, okay, this is my team. I'm going to take us to the promised land. And especially in today's NBA where most big men are really just like shot blockers and like lob finishers, he should be able to have his way with whoever he wants to in the paint. And I just haven't seen it. Once again, I get it, he's been hurt, whatever, but still, like he
Everybody's
like
been hurt, bro. Come on now.
yeah, it's the
At the end of
playoffs. Like
the
everybody's banged up. You know what I mean?
yeah,
So
bro.
he just gotta show up.
If you had to put
That's the bottom line.
if you had to put your life savings on 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 it, does Embiid finally change his mental to Kobe Mamba mentality or not? This like year. If you had to put your life savings on it, or like you like more like more so for it or more so against it.
I mean, I definitely wouldn't put my money on it, but I mean, what I will say is that he has won the scoring title in back-to-back years. I mean, once again, as a center, that is hard to do, especially for a guy that doesn't shoot well from three-point range. So he has the ability, but does he have the mentality? I feel like that's the million-dollar question. The talent is clearly there, but the mentality when it comes to the play, it's like the regular season. I'm not saying that I don't care about it, but it's just like we know that Joel Embiid dominates the regular season. We've seen him take over games in the regular season. But can you take over games in the second round of the playoffs late in the season? Everybody's tired. Can you take us home and get us to the promised land? And that's really, the million-dollar question. But would I put my money on him doing that? No, but I'm very, hopeful that he will, and maybe he can prove me wrong. Um, I mean, I didn't think Jalen Hurts was going to be a Pro Bowl MVP level quarterback, but I mean, he proved me wrong, and I'm glad he did it. So maybe
Nightmare.
Embiid can do the same. So we'll see.
I'm gonna say no. I do not trust Joel Embiid because he has ripped my like heart out my chest one too many times. So I am at the point where I'm not going to believe it until I see it. So, but shout out to him because
I hear
his
you.
boy got married this year. Maybe
I
now
peep.
since and also I'm mad because like I didn't get an invite. I definitely like been like wearing this like jersey for years, even before Bulls knew who you was, bro. But it's okay. It's fine. It's okay. It's all love. Um, but yeah, that's about it for the pod this week. Is there anything else that you deem pertinent to put out to these YouTube streets for the like team or whatever?
Uh, Go Birds! We have our first preseason game this Saturday, so
Which I'm
very
not
excited.
going to like watch. I'm gonna watch that bull crap. I would say shout out to the Phillies who are marching their way to play the playoffs. I think like a new pitcher, his
Oh
first game
yeah,
as a Philly got a
no
no
hitter,
hitter.
crazy.
So that's a good joint.
I think we just traded for him too.
Mhm. They traded a I like prospect, but the Phillies need like good pitching because that's like why we lost last year because there was no one who could like beat the Astros starting lineup. Um,
Pretty much, yeah.
uh, Other news in Philadelphia sports. I think the Union might be playing Messi this next like a week. Um, I think they're going to be playing them if both teams win their games tomorrow. So if that's the case, I'm going to be down there getting some content That's going to be European views. So that's
Oh,
going
facts,
to be
bro.
cool.
That's gonna be
Um,
huge.
but other than that, we are going to be talking about the 76ers all off season long as we gear up for the 2023-2024 season. This is like what my like fifth, sixth year on this case, but many years of watching this team disappoint me year after year. So yeah, we shall be here and sharing in your gloom and doom until we actually win a damn championship. So I want to thank everybody for pulling up and listening to two brothers talk about their favorite Philadelphia or their favorite basketball team of all time, the Philadelphia 76ers from a black male perspective. How about that? I definitely messed that joint up, but it's all good. We will talk to you next week. Stay alive, stay fresh, and stay safe. Until then, bye. I see.
Yeah.